कि आपके आसपास वाले लोग, the people who started working with you, who are auditioning with you, they are on the billboards now, they are on the hoarding, they are doing great work. So every time you're driving past a certain lane and you see this person, a part of you is happy for them, but a part of you is like, मेरे साथ कब होगा ये? Feedback का इतना है कि जितना आपके काम आए उतना ही लो. As artists or even as as entrepreneurs, we need to believe in our taste because that's the only thing we have. That's the only thing that separates us from everyone else. प्यार बहुत पसंद है. I love love. I love the idea of being in love. I love the idea of romance. और कुछ नहीं तो दो गाने मिल जाते हैं. You know why we call each other baby in relationships?
Why?
Because when you feel so protected around somebody, you let that inner child out. That you think of yourselves as babies. You're okay to be stupid. A magic button is just it's a badge that I have, which I give to my loved ones every time I feel they need little magic in life, they're going through something, I'm like, here you go. Just do a little spell on them. I'm like, here, everything will be all right. मतलब नहीं believe करके आपको क्या मिल रहा है?
Hi Paresh, welcome to After Our Season 4 powered by Pulse Golmol. It's so good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I have to say that I think after I saw season 2 of Bandage Bandits, I was like, how can we not get Paresh on the podcast? Like, I think it would be injustice to how good you were on that show. So I'm so glad we're having this conversation and thank you for coming.
No, thank you. I wanted to come here. I actually wanted to. I've seen a couple of your episodes, and I think the quality of conversation that you have on your podcast is something different.
Thank you.
And everything that you've been doing is quite exemplary. I've gone through All About Eve. I've read your articles,
Oh,
and yeah, I'm happy to be here.
thank you. How are you feeling today? What has the last 1 year been like for you?
Wow. ऊपर का answer is feeling great, feeling happy. But to be honest, I've not really had the time to think about it, not really had the time to sit and process what all has been happening because it's just happening. And there is a state of flow which I'm really enjoying, and I've been very lucky to have found the right kind of people around me who just show up at the right time and they make things a lot easier. But I still haven't had the time to sit and think about how does it make me feel, all of it. Today I'm feeling great. Today I'm feeling lovely.
You're touring, and
I'm touring.
that's, I'm sure, such an incredible feeling.
It is
Just to get the energy from the people in like a live
the
gig
best
is
feeling in the world. It's the closest feeling to feeling connected with any form of spirituality, I'd say, because that exchange of energy, that exchange of love that you feel on stage is unmatchable.
You said somewhere
Yes.
that music and spirituality are intertwined, and I found that very profound and very interesting.
Yeah.
And you just again mentioned spirituality, so I remembered that. Tell me
Yeah.
how music and spirituality are intertwined. How does that work?
Honestly, I don't know.
That's an honest answer.
I really don't know. I mean, we all have our own definition of what spirituality is and what it means to us.
Yeah.
What it means to me is just having some trust and surrender in some higher power, which is, I don't know, which could be anything, whatever you want to call it. You call it nature, call it God, call it energy. And for me, the fastest way to connect with that power and feel it, it's a feeling, right, is through music. Because when I close my eyes and I sing something, or I'm playing the piano, or I pick up the guitar and I do something, it just takes me to a different realm, which is I don't think, accessible through normal physical means.
Hmm.
And I love that feeling. We don't know where it all comes from, right? We don't know where suddenly you wake up with a melody, you
Yeah.
wake up with a poem, you wake up with an idea for a business or this project that you're
Yeah.
doing. These ideas are, just in the air and we're just catching them.
Yeah.
If you catch it at the right time and you act upon it, turns into something,
Beautiful.
multi-dimensional 3D experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's very interesting also because and I say this just from my personal experience that my sort of oldest memory of
Mm.
understanding of feeling that there is such a power as God
Mm.
was actually through music, and I mean then it was through bhajans, and I
Mm.
would because as a young child, you don't know what God is, you don't know
Right.
what spirituality is, you are just sensing connection.
Sure. That's the word.
Yeah.
That's the word I live by, connection.
Yeah, so for me, music felt like connection. So I found it very interesting that you said that music and spirituality are intertwined
Yeah.
because I exactly felt that way.
And I know you are a very good classically trained singer.
No, but I realized when I was very young that my best was slightly above average. Like it was not amazing. And then now, because I've not done any riyaz, तो अब वो काफी below average हो गया है. So I have a simple rule that if somebody, like a group of people, when they ask me to sing, they must drink because the more they drink, the better I sound. So it's like if there are 10 people in a room.
Then I think all the alcohol brands who are watching will be perfect sponsors for
Yeah,
for your
no, but
concert.
we don't promote that. I don't promote alcohol
They
brands.
sell music CDs as well, apparently.
Yeah, yeah. That was a good marketing strategy back in the day.
It's the best surrogate advertising I've
Yeah,
seen in life.
best
Yeah,
surrogate
yeah,
advertising
yeah.
actually. But like let's get back to the part where you were talking about connection.
Hmm.
When was the last time you really felt, like you said, you've been in a state of flow? When was the last time on stage you felt really connected?
My last show in Nasik,
Hmm.
the one before that in Chandigarh. And I think it's a give and take, when the audience really, truly, authentically shows up. Um, After first 15, 20 minutes, the lines just blur. There is no stage, there are no people, there are no performers. It's just like one room full of love and people who have forgotten their past and future and just enjoying the present moment. And that's the peak of human experience for me. And I want to be able to do that as much as I can.
Hmm. And I think most musical artists like live off of that
Absolutely.
energy. Like they live for
Absolutely.
just that moment
Yeah.
when, as you said, people forget the past and the future,
Yeah.
and you really just seize the present.
Yeah. Like if you see a Coldplay concert, 1 lakh people in the stadium, nobody's last names matter, nobody's social class, nothing where they come from, nothing matters. All matters is that they're all singing that one song together,
Hmm.
that one melody. And it just creates such a beautiful human experience. And there are no boundaries. It's just present moment.
Yeah. But tell me something, like, has it in the last 1 year changed because
Mhm.
now people really resonate with who you are as an actor also, right?
Hmm.
Because I think you as that character
Hmm.
just really struck a chord with people, which is why it became so popular.
Sure.
So now when people see you on stage,
Hmm.
uh, who do you think they're looking for?
Themselves.
It's a good answer.
They
Why would you say
always
themselves?
People are always looking for a piece of themselves in you. And the moment they find that, and I think that doesn't happen through um, perfection or showing the best side of you. The minute you have a little courage to put your vulnerability out, show them who you are truly, authentically. Um, some that's so invisible, right? And
It's intangible, yeah.
it's intangible, and they connect on that, not on something. "अरे, आपने कपड़े अच्छे पहने हैं, या आप ये लग रहे हो, या वो." I mean, all those things I'm sure are part of brand building and whatnot. But what they truly connect with is the meaning that the perceived meaning rather that they get by watching you, by hearing you, by seeing you perform live. And that only happens when you have that courage to just show up as you are and without covering it up.
Hmm.
That's been the experience with me because every time I have reverse engineered something and said कि मैं ये ऐसा कुछ बनाता हूँ जो लोगों को पसंद आएगा, fallen flat on my
Doesn't
face.
work.
मुंह के बल गिरता
Authenticity
हूँ.
works then.
Yeah, authenticity works for sure. Authenticity and imperfections, whatever your truth in that moment is, because your truth is also transient. It constantly changes, right? From
Yeah.
your story is constantly evolving. So whatever your story at that point is your truth, and if you authentically put it out, it works. Like you do, it. I read your article about freezing eggs. It
I
was
am amazed at this.
beautiful. It was
Thank
so
you.
it was so detailed. It was so real, and suddenly I felt connected with you last night before even meeting you. So
It's so kind of
yeah,
you. Nobody's done a deep dive into me. Usually I'm the one with good research. This is the first
you
time
thought you
it's
were the only
happened.
first bencher.
Yeah, that's true. Were you a first bencher,
I was
Paresh?
second bencher.
Yeah, what's a second bencher trait?
The second bencher trait is कि ना तो आप फर्स्ट बेंच में बैठ के ऐसे कर रहे हो, ना ही आप लास्ट बेंच में बैठ के मस्ती कर रहे हो. तो आप कहीं बीच में फंस चुके हो.
80s वाले students, back in the
हाँ
day वाले.
हाँ,
जिनको
वैसा
I think
वाला.
that was a soft, like, good place to be in, a soft spot, because
Yeah.
you had fun, but you also did well. I think the first benchers, though, in hindsight, had no fun in life.
नहीं, I mean, it was fun for them. It was fun for them to, study, answer the questions, and
ये क्या कहानी हुई? I studied and I answered questions. Now I
तो
look back.
क्या बात कर रहे हो यार?
I look back and I'm just like कि मतलब कोई मुझसे पूछेगा what are your stories of your childhood, तो मैं क्या बोलूँगी कि मैं
वो ये
5
बिल्डिंग दिखा देना उनको एक बार. उसके बाद अगर कोई कुछ बोले.
5 AM पढ़ के मतलब सुबह 5 बजे उठ के मैं यूटी के लिए प्रेप करी थी. ये क्या कहानी है बचपन की बताने की?
5 बजे उठ जाना बहुत बड़ी कहानी है.
हाँ, it's a good habit to inculcate. Helps
Yeah.
in life, but
But I mean, not all stories have to be dramatic, do they?
I don't know, you can tell me better as someone who is a creative person. Do you think what is a good story? Chalo, let's start with that.
I love this question. No one's ever asked me this. Conventionally, from whatever I've understood about storytelling and stories, is there is a protagonist
Hmm.
who wants something. They try to get it. They face some obstacles, and there is an antagonist who also wants the same thing for different reasons, and there is a little confrontation between the two, and eventually the light prevails over dark. That's the
Hmm.
structure of a good story.
And that the what they want could be money,
Anything.
love, power, anything.
Money, love, power could be just two students trying to bunk a class. It could be just that, or trying to wake up at 5 a.m. but
Hmm.
not being able to, and then you miss a flight, and probably you were going to meet somebody, and
Hmm.
probably that person had planned a proposal, and you
Hmm.
thought you'd ditch that person, and now
Yeah.
you're
Oh, that's
separated.
a sad story. But that's the
No, but
obstacle then.
that's a classic
Yeah.
rom-com.
Yeah.
And then you can't find that person, and then when you find that person, they're already with somebody else. So I'm saying it can go on.
It can go wildly. Take it as you will.
Take it as you will.
Yeah, but a good protagonist who wants something finds it hard to get that something because of an obstacle. There's an antagonist who wants the same thing.
Yeah, antagonist could be the situation itself.
Yeah, the antagonist could be a
antagonist
person or a
forces.
situation.
Situation, yeah.
Yeah.
भी कि आपके हाथ में नहीं है. जैसे कि मैं एक दफा had to go for a shoot and I reached the airport and they said we've closed the runway for maintenance. I said I have a flight. They said no, it's pushed. What do you do now? That was one of the most important shoots of my life. So then the beginning of a great story started कि यहाँ से by road गए. by road में ड्राइवर गाड़ी चलाते चलाते एक जगह खड़ा हो गया, बोले सर मेरे को नींद आ रही है, और वो सो गया.
तो फिर आपने
And
चलाई गाड़ी.
I'm just waiting for him to wake up कि भाई आपकी नींद हो जाए तो मुझे बताइएगा.
तो फिर आप कितने
Yeah.
घंटे में पहुंचे?
14 घंटे में, जो मैं 2 घंटे में पहुंच सकता था. So, but वो 14 घंटे बहुत interesting थे. And nobody found out I hadn't slept anything. I just went on set and I shot and I flew back.
Tell me a story from Bandage Bandits. I know you've spoken about it a fair bit, but I think it would feel like just not okay to not talk about it. And especially
Anything.
I think just the visual of you on that sitar, I think that's unmissable. So tell us a little about your experience with Anand Tiwari.
Mhm.
Just not what that was like or how you got it, because I know that you've discussed that widely, but how that changed you as a person.
Wow. Um, Usually the good questions are right after the questions people ask, and you ask the second half also. It's very important. It's very cool. Um, it's been one of the most magical experiences of my life, if I have to sum it up, because the kind of validation you look for as an actor, right? An actor wants to be seen and heard.
Hmm.
That's all we want. We want to be seen so that people come to us and say, "Oh, you were good," and we get another project, and this cycle continues, and we want to be heard.
Yeah.
Um, and I did fair bit of projects before Bandish, and of course, it's a step by step journey. But the kind of the kind of love that I received for Bandish, and also what has taught me is that life is not linear. Nothing is linear.
True.
मुझे लगता था कि अगर मुझे लीड रोल मिलेगा उसके बाद things will change for me, and anything else probably will not. And here comes a part which I shot only for 10 days. I learned the sitar for a month and a half, and it became one of the most important chapters of my life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would imagine so,
yeah,
at least so
yeah.
far.
So far,
And maybe,
yes.
of course, life is long, and I hope it's surpassed by so many other great things that this remains then maybe not even a chapter. Who knows?
No, no, it will always remain a chapter. Not a chapter तो पता नहीं मेरी किताब बहुत लंबी लिखी
Huh.
जाएगी.
But
Okay.
matlab, as you said, life is not linear.
Yeah.
What is it like to sort of peak in
Hmm.
your 30s
Hmm.
as opposed to the assumption of only having to peak in one's 20s?
Wow. You read my mind. You mentioned Anand sir. Just
Hmm.
want to give credit to Anand sir for his trust and belief in me for being able to pull this part off. Because when I met him, I said, I think what you're looking for is not me. Um, he wanted a maestro who could play sitar, who's played sitar for 25 years probably. I said, I've, I know how to play the guitar, but वो भी चार chords जो मैंने impress करने के लिए सीखे हैं बस उतना ही आता है.
Hmm.
Like नहीं नहीं, I know तू कर लेगा. And if you learn it, then I'll shoot a wide shot. If you don't, then I'll just shoot your closest and I'll be okay. And that kind of eased me out. कि
Hmm.
इतना कोई भरोसा दिखा रहा है तो then you don't let them down.
Hmm.
And just that little nudge, just that little support. Sometimes that's all you need. You need the right people to come and just nudge you a little.
Yeah.
That's what he did. So अगर वो chapter लिखा जाएगा life में तो Anand Tiwari will be the protagonist of that chapter.
Yeah.
Peaking in your 30s, I think I wouldn't know the comparison because I didn't peak in my 20s.
No, but it's the assumption that one ought to.
Yeah,
I think I think the disservice that is done
yeah.
to youngsters is these 30 under 30s,
Mm,
where we almost kind of tell them, because, we only remember the stories of success, right? The
correct,
dropouts who made it big at 22, 23,
correct.
the 30 under 30s who are like 28 and like, whatever,
Hmm.
uh, musicians selling maybe stadiums or like CEOs or
Yeah.
whatever. And the unfortunate truth is, as you said, life is not linear, one.
Hmm.
And two, everybody has their own sort of journey. And certain experiences and learnings are so pivotal to your growth
Yeah.
as a person that maybe you're just not ready at that point in time.
Sure.
And who is to say that the person who peaked at 22 is not going to go through a trough at 35?
Yeah.
Because life really is that long. But the thing is that I think that if people just spoke more about the
Hmm.
fact that you peak whenever you peak, and that
हाँ.
is perfect.
मतलब हर फ्रूट के पकने का टाइम अलग अलग होता है ना कि कोई 2 दिन में पक जाता है कोई साल भर में एक ही बार पकता है. Having said that, it's not as simple as I make it sound. I actually went through a full year of existential crisis in my 29th year. 29th year was such a difficult year for me because I had made a list of all the things I wanted by the time I turned 30. और मेरे दिमाग में मेरे पास ऑस्कर होना चाहिए था, ग्रैमी होना चाहिए था, शादी करके 2 बच्चे होने चाहिए थे और हम हमारे पास एक इटली में कहीं अमाल्फी कोस्ट में घर होना चाहिए था, जहाँ पे हम चिल कर रहे हैं, सन बाथ ले रहे हैं। ये सब विज़न बोर्ड पे बना रखा था और वो जब नहीं हुआ, सो देन यू जस्ट स्टार्ट क्वेश्चनिंग एवरीथिंग। यू आर लाइक अरे होता भी तो क्या? Um, what's the point of anything at all? Why are we here on this planet? What are we doing? What is the meaning of life? It's a spiral,
Yeah.
and it all comes from this one just mismatch of misalignment of
Expectations.
expectation versus reality, and this
Hmm.
gap is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's a rabbit hole that you get into and you don't come out of it if you don't pay attention to it. क्योंकि आपके आसपास वाले लोग, the people who started working with you, who are auditioning with you, they are on the billboards now, they are on the hoarding, they are doing great work. So every time you're driving past a certain lane and you see this person, a part of you is happy for them, but a part of you is like, मेरे साथ कब होगा ये?
Hmm.
And yeah, so I went through that year of
The
just
me when
questioning
year.
me when year, yeah,
Yeah.
कि और and when that doesn't happen, you're like कि हाँ क्या मतलब है किसी भी चीज़ का anyway.
Hmm.
कि अंगूर खट्टे हैं बेसिकली,
Hmm.
कि मुझे नहीं मिले तो अंगूर खट्टे हैं कि तो but I'm glad it didn't happen at that time because I probably didn't have the bandwidth to handle it, to deal with it emotionally, spiritually, or in any way physically. I didn't have my value system or belief system to support all of that. I just wanted these things just for the sake of wanting them.
Hmm.
मैंने लिख लिया था मुझे 1000 करोड़ बनाने हैं। क्यों बनाने हैं पता नहीं, क्या करूँगा 1000 करोड़ का? अब लगता है क्या करूँगा 1000 करोड़ बना के? It just feels the same after a certain number.
Yeah.
Though it's a great life. So my biggest moral of the story from that year was कि I was always focusing on the big things. बड़ा होर्डिंग, बड़ा रोल, बड़े गाने, बड़े नंबर्स, सब बड़ा-बड़ा चाहिए था। And in that process, I was losing out, missing out on the smaller things. किसी का हाथ पकड़ के बीच पे चल लो, किसी के साथ मील शेयर कर लो, मम्मी का कॉल आ रहा है नहीं उठा रहे हैं, क्योंकि वो छोटी चीज़ें हैं, वो तो हाँ कल कर लेंगे बात, कोई बात नहीं, हाँ कल चल लेंगे वॉक पे, अरे कोई नहीं कल डिनर कर लेंगे, किसी का बर्थडे, हाँ कोई बात नहीं वापस चलेंगे. But that was the life that was happening in those moments. That was what keeps you sane. That is what uh, we miss when we don't have that around us.
Hmm.
And if you don't, it's वो कहावत है ना, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. If you don't pay attention to these smaller things, you will not know what to do with those bigger things when
Fair
they
enough.
happen.
Yeah, well said.
तो वो है. So now I focus on very small things, moment to moment, जो हो रहा है enjoy करो. Um, have a big vision for sure, but you can't. It's not a unicorn that you'll sit on and get there. If it's a horse that you're sitting on, just go step by step,
Hmm.
or just walk. So,
Hmm. But tell me, through all this time, let's say through your 29th year, when you're going through this sort of existentialism,
mhm.
right? When you're seeing your friends on these billboards, and you're feeling me when, let's say, do you lose faith
Hmm.
in God, in yourself? Of course, you're going through like, what is the point of this? What is the point of existence, etc.
Yeah.
But do you feel like you're just now, losing faith? I feel like a very interesting question to ask people,
Hmm.
uh, that you know well or whatever from time to time is not just how are you, but how is your faith?
Hmm.
You know, are you believing in things? Are you
Hmm.
believing in something bigger than you? Are you believing in yourself?
Yeah.
So how was your faith at that point
I
in
didn't
time?
have any.
Hmm.
I didn't have any faith because I was this. Uh, I think the biggest shift that's happened after that year is that faith doesn't need a proof, right? Faith,
Yeah,
faith
true.
doesn't need a tangible, multidimensional proof. It's a feeling. कि हो जाएगा. There is a bigger, higher power that will take care of everything. Belief, on the other hand, needs a cycle of different things to happen for you to believe in them. So I was a very belief guy. I was a very I'll make this happen. I'm a go-getter. I will do this. I will do that. I was a very willpower, will kind of a guy. And that doesn't leave any room for magic in life.
Very interesting. I have
Yeah.
never separated faith and belief, but well said on that. Yeah.
Yeah. It was separate for me
Yeah.
at that
Fair
point.
enough. I take that.
Faith, मतलब I was questioning कि ठीक है, हाँ, जो भी है देखेंगे. Um, but after that year, I realized that there is something beyond our control.
Hmm.
There are certain things you do what's in your control. You do your best, whatever you feel in that direction. But then there has to be a certain amount of trust and surrender. You have to give some room for magic, and
Yeah.
and
That's a good one. Some room for magic.
yeah, that's all.
Mm.
That's the philosophy I live by now. I have a magic button that I usually carry. I give it away to people who need
What's
magic
the
in their
magic
lives.
button?
A magic button is just it's a badge that I have, which I
Mm.
give to my loved ones every time I feel they need little magic in life. They're going through something. I'm like, here you go. Just do a little spell on them. I'm
Mm.
like, here, everything will be all right. And it usually does get all right.
Wow. I'll come to you then when I need some magic. Give me that
Please.
magic button also. Some work is getting stuck with me like Paresh.
Yeah,
Little magic button.
just universal magic. Yeah.
Yeah. But you had said somewhere that you do believe in manifestation, and I want to understand because you mentioned vision board. I want to understand your relationship with that practice.
It's been the best discovery of my life, and it's taught me so much because I did believe in it earlier and I
Mm.
believe in it now. The difference is that कि पहले मैं चाहता था कि ये चाहिए मतलब यही चाहिए, और अगर ये नहीं मिला तो फेलियर, you know,
Hmm.
with a lot of attachment with the outcome. Now it's a wish, it's a feeling, it's a vision, um, and I live enough in my mind that feeling, and I feel that enough number of times कि अगर वो नहीं भी हुआ तो मुझे चलेगा, and not attached to the outcome. And when I'm not attached to the outcome, it ends up happening multifold.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But do you think this is a flawed process in the sense कि when you detach yourself from the outcome,
Hmm.
तो हम अगर इसमें believe कर रहे हैं तो the number of times it doesn't happen,
Yeah.
हम उसको count नहीं करते.
नहीं करना चाहिए.
Success ratio, let's say 5 times, 5 out of 10 things happen and 5 didn't.
Yeah.
तो फिर हम इसमें believe कर रहे हैं कि नहीं, statistically speaking.
मतलब नहीं बिलीव करके आपको क्या मिल रहा है?
ये भी बात सही है.
नहीं बिलीव करके आप क्या बिलीव करोगे बाकी चीज कि
कुछ तो करना ही पड़ेगा.
कुछ तो
believe.
करोगे. Your mind will
Yeah.
catch information from some or the other source,
Fair enough.
and that information most of the time is going to be
Yeah.
because we are being fed all the time,
Yeah.
from morning newspapers to television to reels to everything. Most of the time you
Yeah.
consume information which is it's like if you don't watch your diet you'll consume anything.
Yeah.
So I mean there's no harm in believing in
Yeah.
optimism and good things.
That's true. So taking off from what you said, Amish Tripathi told me this, and again, a different perspective I hadn't thought of, where I had asked him that, we were discussing Shiva and we were talking about,
Yeah.
how women are usually told in general that if you, pray to Lord Shiva, you'll get a good partner, the whole Sola Somvar ka vrat. And I said, all of these practices, aren't they just essentially bribery? It's such a transactional way of looking at it.
Yeah.
And then he said, all prayers are transactions. Life is a transaction. Breathing is a transaction. All relationships are transactions. He said, you can just get to choose whether it's a good transaction or a bad transaction. So prayer is a good transaction.
Interesting. Very
Then
interesting.
why it's, I mean, I picked up on it because you said तो नहीं believe करके भी क्या ही मिल रहा है.
Huh.
तो I mean, I get it.
Yeah, I love this idea. Yeah, why do we see transactions as a bad thing?
Yeah, that's what he said. To see transactions is wrong is like
It
a
is
very,
essentially that. I mean, karma is also, if you see, when they talk about karma, it's just a account balance sheet of good and bad deeds, which is
yeah,
transactions, right?
correct. So if everything is a
ओ
transaction,
भाई साहब, आप घुमा फिरा के फाइनेंस की ओर ले जाते हो सबको.
then then just be a part of the good ones.
Good ones.
So faith, belief systems, whether it's manifestation, prayer, whatever,
Yeah.
उसको फिर ऐसे ही treat कर लो, whatever works.
Yeah.
And then he also told me, don't judge the people who believe in these things. And I was like, yeah, I'm
Why
going to
not judge people? I do judge the people.
judge people. We're okay with
Judge.
judging people.
Why not?
How do you feel people perceive you?
I have no idea.
You don't
I
care?
have no idea. I do care. Of course I care.
Hmm.
I do care about how I'm perceived, because if I'm trying to say something as an artist, you have a voice and you're trying to say something, and if it's misconstrued, or if it's not going out correctly, and it's not being perceived, you know, the way you want it to, of course we care. I care. I'm not one of those जो बोलेगा कि भाई मैंने ये 4 जनों के लिए बनाया है. आई एम मेकिंग अ फिल्म, मेरे 3 दोस्त देखेंगे and I'm okay with it. No, I want the whole world to come and watch the films I make. I want the whole world to come and experience the concerts. And I do care about what they think. We always take feedback. We always um, ask how can we improve this, and because it's a collective experience. It's not just when you make a song, when you make a film and you put it out in the universe for people to consume. It's not yours anymore. It's a collective experience. They give a different meaning to it, and when they're emotionally investing in something, उनका पूरा हक बनता है यार. जो बोलना चाहें, वो जो करना चाहें उसके साथ. Because it can't be, ऐसे तो नहीं है कि आप सिर्फ अच्छी अच्छी चीजें सुनो and you ignore the feedback that's coming your way.
What's been the most useful feedback you've got? That you felt कि हाँ मतलब this is good, like feedback that I would like to incorporate because it leads to betterment. It's not just random कुछ भी.
I can't think of it right now, but there's a lot. I'm just thinking in which department.
चलो म्यूजिक में सोच लेते हैं.
म्यूजिक में सोचते हैं. Music may, I'll tell you the feedback that was given to me and I didn't take, my life changed. And the feedback was कि आपका intro इतना long है, आपका soundscape old school है, आपके गाने थोड़े ऐसे हैं, you need to make some dance songs, you need to make some, this soundscape. And thankfully I didn't take that at that point because I didn't have the resources. So मैंने कहा ठीक है, डाल के देखते हैं जैसा है अभी, अगली बार से वो यूज़ करेंगे. And fortunately it connected in its rawest form. That's one thing. And of course I met the person again, and we had this whole conversation about it's a blend of both. It's a blend of your left and right side of the brain both. You can't be only emotion. You need to learn to package it really well. You need to learn to make it experiential, and you also need to learn to sell, right? You would know this.
Yeah. No, man, you really need to know how to sell.
I think it's one of the most important skills in life.
Yeah.
And yeah, it doesn't have to be direct. I love the way you do it.
I should call you more often just
Please
to feel better about myself.
No, there's so much to learn. There is so much to learn.
Likewise. Thank you. Thank you for the generosity and all the compliments. But yeah, so you didn't take that feedback, or you did?
I couldn't take it at the moment because I didn't have the resources. But later,
you did incorporate it in some way.
In some ways. And that's actually made the concerts and music a lot more experiential. Yeah. But I took it, feedback का इतना है कि जितना आपके काम आए उतना ही लो.
हाँ, 100%.
As artists, or even as as entrepreneurs, we need to believe in our taste, because that's the only thing we have. That's the only thing that separates us from everyone else. If you question your taste in anything, in music, in interiors, in construction, in whichever sense, then suddenly you are falling into another trap of pleasing people and how they want things to be. But most people don't know what they want. Most people don't know how they want information to come to them. And if you hold on to your taste, could be old school, could be new school, could be no cap, could be cap. I don't know.
I love how you picked up on this one terminology.
I'm learning. I'm a good learner.
No, I don't use it, but yeah, we'll do it for the younger kids. Why
Teach
not?
me more. Teach me more of these words today.
I'll ask my cousin Vanya, the one
Let's
who's,
ask Vanya.
as she said, obsessed with you.
Hi, Vanya.
Yeah, this will make her very happy. But अच्छा मुझे एक बात बताओ. We spoke about so many things.
Hmm.
How has your evolution personally about your idea of love changed through your 20s and 30s? How do you
Hmm.
think of it now and how did you think of it then? जैसे लाइफ के बारे में तो पर्सपेक्टिव चेंज हुआ,
Hmm.
एग्जिस्टेंशियलिज्म कम हुआ,
Hmm.
लव के बारे में क्या फीलिंग चेंज
यार
हुई?
मुझे प्यार बहुत पसंद है. I love love. I love the idea of being in love. I love the idea of romance. And again, it's not, that's something that's been consistent in my 20s, 30s, that my belief and faith in love has not changed, even in romance. I love it. I mean, what has changed though is a few ideas like chemistry not always means
Translates.
compatibility,
Hmm.
right? How you feel, like if somebody is, you know, making you feel the survival level emotions which we think of excitement, we think it's excitement. It could not be a good thing for you. Maybe they're activating a pattern in you which you don't need at that point.
It's very true.
Yeah.
Actually, that's very true that a lot of people mistake the heightening of the survival sort of
Yeah.
skills as excitement. Like
Yeah.
that adrenaline
Yeah.
is not always great.
Yeah. Yeah. So now so I'm more aware about myself, how I'm feeling.
Hmm.
कभी कभी ये सब जानने के बाद भी आप पढ़ते हो प्यार में वापस.
पढ़ना ही चाहिए, सबको पढ़ना
और
चाहिए.
कुछ नहीं तो 2 गाने मिल जाते हैं.
हाँ. I'm so envious of artists.
Why?
You guys can really monetize your
Hey,
heartbreaks.
what is you guys in envious of artists? You're a trained singer.
No, but
You're an
I'm not
artist.
singing. I'm not singing for
So
a
what?
living, but I can't monetize my heartbreak.
Why not?
You can monetize your
I'll pay
heartbreak.
for your heartbreak stories.
I hope I don't have more. I
No,
think.
past ones.
हाँ,
You put it in a story form, I'll come and watch it
हाँ, ठीक है.
and pay for the heartbreak.
I'll give you inputs. आप लिख लेना उस पे.
Done, chalo.
You can write the songs. मैं कहानी दे दूंगी आपको सारी.
Done.
है ना? You can monetize that also.
नहीं,
You
नहीं.
can monetize my heartbreak also.
नहीं,
But
नहीं, I don't care
but do you
about
think it's
monetizing.
like a great sort of letting go,
Sure.
just writing songs and kind of it's a way of moving on?
Yeah. I think the first thing we do is every time you want to think of what you want to write about, the question is, what do you want to get rid of your chest?
Hmm.
If there's something that's bothering you, that's the first thing you write about, because
Hmm.
उसका गाना बने, monetize हो ना हो, लोग सुने ना सुने, but you feel a little healed, you feel a little better.
Hmm.
It's like therapy for yourself, and all of us have different ways of doing that. It doesn't have to be art always. It could be just going for a walk. It could be talking to somebody. It could be painting, drawing, sketching, putting a new plant in your house. But it's important to know what is it that really works. And what I'm also learning is that you don't have to run away from it. You have to fully acknowledge, accept that feeling, live with it, feel terrible about it, howl, cry, and then move on.
Hmm.
उसको दबा के कोई मतलब नहीं, वो बाद में आता है
हाँ, you
जोर
can't
से.
heal it if you don't feel it. मैंने पढ़ा था. This is stolen quote.
All great artists are stealers, all of them.
But interestingly, this thing about you just mentioned howl it out, cry it out. I want to ask you, are you a crier?
I didn't for the longest time. And I found it very difficult. But now I do. Now I don't shy away from my emotions. मुझे- I do cry.
Hmm. Why is it that so many people, especially men, are told that crying is just, I don't know.
I don't know, it's a sign of weakness, maybe. It's seen as losing your guards. It's seen as being emotional is seen as a weak thing. But it's quite a powerful thing, I feel.
Yeah,
You don't have to do it for everybody. I mean, that's another thing. ऐसा नहीं कि
हाँ,
being
हर बात पे
vulnerable
रो लो, हाँ।
हर जगह जाके रो रहे हैं,
हाँ,
सबके
नहीं
घर
ये तो
जाके
किसी को भी नहीं करना
लोग
चाहिए।
बोलेंगे रोतरू आया.
जेंडर नॉन स्पेसिफिक किसी को नहीं करना चाहिए।
Yeah, but it's when you, yeah, when you processing something and something comes up and you trust somebody. I have a theory. You know why we call each other baby in relationships?
Why?
Because when you feel so protected around somebody, you let that inner child out. That you think of yourselves as babies. You're okay to be stupid, foolish, um,
Interesting.
and talk in voices that otherwise would be considered insane. And you call each other baby because you're feeling like babies, and that's because somebody is giving you that warmth and protection and making you feel safe and secure, how a parent does or somebody,
Hmm.
a guardian does. So only, and so these are layers of trust. When the trust is at its peak, you become a baby to each other. But uske
बच्चे
pehle,
तो एक दूसरे को बहुत जल्दी बोल रहे हैं ये सब ट्रस्ट बिल्ड होने से पहले, बट या आई गेट वेयर यू कमिंग
baby,
फ्रॉम।
baby, tera nahi main.
But no, I fascinating. I'll That's interesting. That there's a certain level of safety and
Yeah,
security that you
yeah,
feel around your partner,
yeah,
and that's very important. I think all vulnerability in general requires you feeling safe in the presence of
yeah,
someone. Otherwise, why would you be your vulnerable self
yeah, true.
if you feel like somebody's just going to attack it later? But ये भी करते हैं लोग।
करते हैं क्या? हुआ आपके साथ?
नहीं नहीं हाँ कभी तो हुआ ही होगा। But नहीं, we were talking to someone today and they were mentioning that, like, let's say you say something to someone which is a vulnerable self or
Yeah.
a vulnerable part of your personality,
Hmm.
and then later, just at that opportune moment, they'll take it and
मेरे पास मत आना रोते रोते.
throw it at your face. That's not a very kind thing to do, but yeah.
It's not. It's not.
Yeah, but some people are unkind, and then but there are also many kind people, so we can't lose hope.
Shouldn't.
Yeah. When was the last time somebody was very kind to you?
Every day. Every day. I think it's also a choice that you make, that you want to see more of it in the world and you start seeing it. The minute you take off your blinders and you'll start seeing kindness all around you. Like this whole tour, this concert tour that is happening, the Voice Notes India tour.
Yeah.
Um, it's just sheer kindness of my friends.
Hmm.
So that's how the concert, the India tour, has shaped up. Just by the kindness of a lot of strangers, a lot of friends.
But it must feel great to then be surrounded and be living in this energy
Mm-hmm. It is.
just all the time. Do you
Yeah.
think this vibe, this flow, let's say that you were talking about, do you think it lasts, or like do you ever worry कि कभी ये चला गया flow state तो?
I think when you worry, it's already gone.
Okay, fair.
If that
That's a
thought,
fair that's
yeah,
a fair
yeah.
assumption.
If that thought hits you, it means it has left your body.
हाँ.
And then you just,
Hmm.
um, no, it doesn't worry me.
Hmm.
It's okay. It happens to sports people, happens to cricketers. Sometimes they are doing centuries in all their matches, and sometimes even the best in the world would go through a dry spell. It's totally okay.
Hmm.
So तो ठीक है. कुछ भी नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है ऐसा.
हाँ, मतलब इम्पर्मानेंट तो सभी कुछ होता है। गुड भी इम्पर्मानेंट होता है, बैड भी इम्पर्मानेंट होता है। तो वो
Yeah,
तो स्पेल्स ऑफ लैक ऑफ क्रिएटिविटी भी चले ही जाते हैं।
बिल्कुल,
दे डोंट
बिल्कुल.
स्टे।
Yeah, but what's in your control then is you should have a checklist of things uh, that you do. Have you eaten well? You worked
हुँ,
out? Have you slept enough? Have you practiced your whatever form of yoga exercise that keeps your body shape and heart
हुँ,
congruent? You know, आप अगर वहाँ चोरी कर रहे हो तो फिर ये तो जाना है ही. ये तो
हुँ।
बाकी
दैट्स अ गुड वे ऑफ सेइंग इट। वहाँ चोरी कर रहे हो तो ये तो जाएगा। ट्रू। व्हाट इंस्पायर्स यू?
everything, life, nature, um, yeah, everything. I don't know. Sometimes सब कुछ सही होता है तो भी इंस्पिरेशन नहीं आती है, और कभी-कभी आप इतने केओस में होते हो फिर भी योर माइंड इज जस्ट ब्रिमिंग विद आइडियाज. सो
हुँ। व्हाट इज़ द नेक्स्ट सेट ऑफ आइडियाज़ यू आर वर्किंग ऑन?
ऑल अबाउट एडम.
That would be an interesting idea. I'm sure.
I'll come to your investors only. Competition!
No, but basic, what are you working on that is exciting you outside of course, this amazing tour that you've embarked on?
I just signed a film with one of my favorite production houses.
Amazing.
Gonna be-
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm going to be working with them. There's a lot of new music to be released. Some songs we are finishing. तो अभी उतना है आगे 6 महीने के लिए there's
But
some
ये
new
तो
music.
exciting 6 months
बहुत
ही है.
exciting 6 months.
Hmm.
बहुत.
But you start
आने
shoot
वाली-
soon?
Yes, actually, the tour and the shoot will go together. It's 3rd April is when I start shooting for the film,
Very nice.
and then we perform in Bangalore and Mumbai. तो साथ साथ चलता रहेगा.
थकान नहीं होती touring में?
अभी तक तो नहीं हो रही. अब पता
Hmm.
नहीं चल रहा. रुकने के बाद थकान यूजुअली रुकने के बाद पता चलती है कि आप थके थे.
Now your body
like when
needs
you
to catch up, yeah.
yeah, it's like when you eat the first morsel, you realize how hungry you were.
Yeah.
उसके पहले पता ही नहीं चलता. Or when you're running a marathon, when you stop, you realize, oh my god, I'm
Hmm.
so tired. But right now, there's no time to think about thakan.
What do you do to unwind after us? What do you do to chill, to relax?
Ooh, shower, long showers for sure. Walk without phone.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
It's a tough one also now, given that we're so addicted to our
Yeah.
instruments. So
it's a practice. I do this every day. It's intentional. I leave my phone and go for a 20-minute walk, and that just forces me to see outside. Just look at things, look at people.
that's a good one.
Yeah.
But then that means you're not listening to music, no?
मतलब वो तो चल ही रहा है पूरा दिन. वो तो
हाँ,
साइमल्टेनियसली
fair
गाड़ी
enough.
से लेके मैं सोता भी म्यूजिक सुनते सुनते हूँ. I
Hmm.
wake up and I just hit the play button.
Hmm.
But those 20 minutes, I've unplugged everything. And
Yeah,
all I'm listening to is the sound of the trees and my heartbeat. That's it.
nice.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's something everybody should attempt to do. Be at least away from their phones for a while.
इतना मुश्किल भी नहीं है वैसे.
हाँ,
एक
एक
बार
बार
फोन छोड़ के निकल गए तो क्या करोगे?
हाँ, कुछ
वो
नहीं कर
जो
सकते.
2 मिनट का वो जो जुदाई है
Hmm.
बस.
Hmm.
And it's just
So yeah, good walk.
yeah,
then-
good walk, long showers, go in nature if you have it around you, and make chai. Do something with your hands. Basically, is what my acting teacher told me. A lot of artists do pottery. A lot of artists do charkha,
Yeah.
so that it just forces them to get out of their heads.
Hmm.
If you're constantly thinking, that's not healthy.
A lot of people say that actually
assume.
make use of your hands. And
Yeah. That's-
so you make chai.
I make chai, very
Hmm.
precise chai with the right amount of adrak and ilaichi and
Hmm.
boiling the water at the right temperature and all of that.
Hmm. Nice.
Yeah, or just have a golmol imli.
Yeah. We'll give you
So-
plenty of golmol imli to
That's the
have
best way to.
when you
unwind.
go. But thank you, Paresh. It was a
Thank you.
wonderful conversation. Thank you for spending some time with us, and hopefully I'll see you at one of your shows. Looking forward to
Please
the
do.
film. And yeah, I'll catch you soon.
Thank you, man.
But before you go, we want to give you a little present. This is a hefty supply
Thank
of
you
the
so much.
golmol candy that you like. And
I love it. Thank you.
yeah,
It's keeping the inner child alive.
yes,
Best
as you
way.
must, as we all must.
Thank you.
But thank you for coming. It was a great chat.
Thank you, man.